Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity to practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, so welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Constantine Brooks, and on this episode, it's supposed to be dropped like a day before Valentine's Day. So, it makes sense to talk about my Valentine's Day war. Yeah, so, um, would I be having a Valentine's? Highly unlikely. But, since it's Valentine's Day soon, I should know a story, that if you have listened to the podcast, you might heard the story before. Yeah, but yeah, what you never really knew what happened was the last day that that whole story end up going on was Valentine's Day of, I think, 2021. So yeah, so let's go back into this story now, because why not? So boom, I left university now, out in the real world, trying to find my way. And if you're known, if I mentioned it before, but that at university was my peak self, my peak self, where my confidence and my everything built up before that, and there was a lot of respect on my name. So I was not, prior to then, I was a nerd in science, and that's one of the main reasons why I was never into the whole Valentine's Day thing, because getting a girl was it was a mess. It was a mess. And not only that, the problem to me, the the first obstacle is getting the girl. Yeah, I if I put in the effort, I maybe could, but after I actually got one of the main thing I kind of realized was that me being a science person and all, my the things I like, and the way I do things, and then plus my financial standing, you know, during the high school days and university days, it never really was in the position to really accommodate another girl. It was never, cause girls just like to go out, and then not only that, they like to talk and stuff like that. And back then, I was a really passive person, a person that rarely talk, and I usually just watch anime and such like that. So outside of that, I never really have much nothing interesting going on. But university now was kind of different, because when I went to university, I was said, okay, I'm going to shed the old self, become a new me, because it was a new environment. Nobody really knew me there except the few persons that came to the university with me from high school. But majority of the people, I was the first time meeting them, so it's a new way to reintroduce myself. So boom. So my whole persona then was pretty good, pretty good. And but when I left university now, boom, back to being unemployed, that kind of really mess up your mentality. When you're going back into the job market, and you're basically looking for a job, and you're sending out resume and you're not getting anything, bro, it can be a really demoralizing experience. But what happened was, during this my time at the university, there was this one girl that, so by the time I should mention as well, by the time I get to university, you would have known if you have listened to many of the woman stories that I gave. I have very various dealing with various women. So by university, I usually I think I had a stand, a idea of how I wanted to deal with women, you know. So the things like feelings and stuff like that and all those things. By the time I reached university, all that was dead. You know, that was dead. I was as close as to the stereotypical F boy you could be, but I was still I was still a nerd, so and a kind person at heart. But but when I reached university, being on the basketball team, getting my accolades there, and building up my confidence there, and then going into the university and the dorm which I was in, I was kind of one of the more popular person in my hall during my first year and throughout the years. So, you know, because of that, a lot of female attention was kind of drawn to me. But then when I reached into university, my learning how to deal with female kind of matures. I know how to really talk to them, how to really, yeah. So the previous nerd me that would just basically, any girl that give me attention, I would just kind of fawn over or something like that. Was kind of going away. But during university now, I found this one girl. Well, I never really found her. It's just that she was there. And, the more I hear about her, the more I just like the idea of her. She's just like, yeah, she's nice and thing. But the thing about it is that during university, the thing, for one, we had, there was an age difference. So when I during university at the time, I never think of it like, oh, I in my head I was saying, okay, I don't really have a chance, so I don't really have time to waste effort on a futile mission. So I would just see her, wave to her, and say, yeah, man, nice and all. But she was the thing, going back to science, me being science and something like that. We had sort of different lifestyles. We have very different lifestyle. I'm in science and technology and stuff like that. She was more in social science. It's two different faculties, so it's two different lifestyles. She's more of a party and social person. I was more of a passive person. I don't really deal with people, even though I was kind of popular on the universe, on the dorm that I was in. I was a really introverted person, regardless. So while I like the idea of her, you know, after I left university and thinking about her, I realized that okay, to actually really get to her, I would have to change myself. I have to get more extroverted and stuff like that. So boom, after I leave university now, trying to get a work and such like that, I was actually listening to some things, trying to get more manly, more acclimated to the real world, because that was a new thing now. Out of school, so new real world, and plus no, I have no money, I rarely have money and such like that. But I usually just see her on Instagram, because I follow her and stuff like that. And then during this time, she's still in school and thing. But I was there just looking, and one and two time I usually just message her and message her and such like that, and then she would just maybe like the messenger. But during this time as well, I was trying to look at work, trying to build up myself, trying to find my place in the real world. So there was just one time now that I said, okay, would would you be interested in going on a date? And if you remember before, I have no date experience and such like that. The idea of a date is is not something for me. But you know the girl, as I said, the theory of having the girl was so mesmerizing. I said, yo, I had to take the chance, and I had to take the chance. But After I send the message, no reply, no reply. But what's funny was after she usually post some other pictures on her stories, and I would just reply with one of those quick reactions, she would reply to that, so I kind of see that and stuff like that. So I kind of see that, okay, maybe she's not interested, but my mind could really get away from her. I was just so drawn to her, so drawn to her. So during this time, as I said, send out resume and try to find myself, I got really depressed and low on myself. So as if you see the name of the podcast, refer mindset podcast, the during this time, what I was trying to do was trying to shed off all of the baggage of the past that I had, because if you remember what I said, I was a really introverted and passive person. So during this time, growing up, coming straight up to high school, then university, I kept a lot of stuff in. And then during the real world now, I kind of had to kind of let it out to really release the baggage of all the things that I kept inside. So the girl now was kind of the first thing. So the thing, what I was trying to do was kind of type up what I felt about her. I was typing up some things and trying to release every single one of my feelings or what I would say about her in this one note, just and the thing the idea was just simply give it to her, and the idea was if I simply give it to her, regardless if she likes it or not, I could just really just finally shed my feelings of her and kind of just move on, kind of just move on. So boom, if you listen to the podcast, you would have known about UE carnivals, So after I left university, next year they would have a uni carnival again. So the plan was simply to go to the uni carnival, boom. I type it up, so I would just print out the sheet, and then maybe I would see her, maybe dance with her 1 or 2 times, and then just simply give her the note. Boom. So I went to the carnival, and I never saw her. That was the first thing. And the next thing was I kind of fell out of the party mood. Then it was never really, the partying thing was never for me. So yeah, after that now, so I went home, and then after going home and such like that, I never really, I call it a failure, and kind of just started to focus on myself. Kind of really leave her be, because the main thing was me just trying to get my mind, my money right, and everything right. Trying to break myself out of this curse of poverty. So during this, if you would have known, so I left university 2018. The carnival that I would went was 2019, and then around 2020 was when Corona started, and around 2020 as well, 2019, 2020 as well, I got really sick. I was basically out for majority. My majority of the year was focused on me recovering, from the sickness. And it wasn't Corona; it was something else. But I was really sick, really, really sick and such like that. And then, but, and one of the things that I was doing this during the sickness, because I was having hallucination, all kind of things. So one of the things I had to kind of do was basically get myself off social media, get rid of the social media addiction. Because that was the sickness that I had. I was during this time after I said I left left the carnival and such like that. I was trying to get rid of the negative habits that I have. So negative habits like the social media usage and stuff like that. But one of the thing I realized was when I was, you know, get just stopping using this social media stuff, I would just feel and trying to what do you call it? uh, replace them with some good habit. I was overdoing the good habit so much that I basically crashed, and basically that was what happened. I got anemia, and basically the whole of 2020 was me kind of recovering from anemia, but because the whole corona situation in my head, I was saying, "Oh my gosh, I have corona." So it was kind of messing up. My mental was not in the best place. And that was majority of what I was trying to deal with, though 2020, trying to get my mental straight. So during this whole 2020 as well, I started to try to get my driver's license, such like that. And while during this time, try to get her off my mind and try to get myself prepared. So the thing was, if I get the license, majority of the work that I will see, they will say having a license is a plus. So me getting a driver's license will be um a plus, you know. So during this time now, doing a driver's license and such like that, and then around November thereabout, I would see some stories of her, and I would just basically message her and stuff like that. But as I said, being a science and nerd, it never really left me. It never really left me. So she would have said, okay, the awkwardness from the way I message her and stuff like, it would kind of um come out the more I actually message her, and she was realize and said, oh, this is kind of getting stalkerish and weird, you know. So I was like, okay, yeah, man. And then over time, I was trying to do it good, do it better. And then over time, she kind of blocked me, you know. I was like, oh, it was a L. But she blocked me on Instagram and then maybe Twitter or something like that. But we were actually friends on Snapchat, you know. So after the block now, I kind of said, okay, that's in the past. Back to learning, getting my driver's license and such like that. And, you know, my mind kind of went off her, and I was not at the place as I said, I was not at the place where I started the podcast. I was just doing my thing at this other place, trying to get my driver's license. And then one day I went onto Snapchat and I saw her. And what day was today? That day, Valentine's Day. You know. So if you remember the notes that I said I had, which I just typed down all my feelings about her in this notes. Since I actually saw her online on the on the Snapchat and stuff like that, I said, okay, it is basically the last place I I have of her. It only makes sense that I simply give it to her and just send it to her, and whatever happens, happens, you know. Just call it a day. I basically sent her the the thing, the the document, the word document of the what I wrote on it. And you know what happened after that? Yo, she basically read it and said, yeah, bro, you know, yeah, no, she kind of just blocked me after that, blocked me on Snapchat as well. And that was basically a good, very terrible experience, but it kind of get me focused back on my purpose, which kind of, get actually getting blocked on all those platform kind of get me back focused because I never have no way to see her again. So I wanted to just focus on what I was doing, was basically making the podcast, getting my driver's license, and trying to get a job or something like that. Because during this time I was, not at home. I was basically on the other side of my parish trying to get my driver's license. I was just basically just living life, and all of that was simply due to the she being gone from my life, But that was a really good experience, that was a really good experience. Valentine was, and I think, I I kind of, I'm glad that it worked out that way, because I kind of still think him like the idea of her, but the more I learn about the world and stuff like that, and more I kind of realize that yeah, she would be a very bad match for me. Even though I think maybe if she was just presenting the opportunity to just get together, I think I would still take it. But in my logical brain is just say, yeah, she is not really the best, and and every day, since being blocked, every day not actually seeing her, I had no idea to really get to see, kind of get me focused and pushing forward, and end up that I made so much progress. I'm at a new place, basically my own place, have my driver's license. PC is kind of down now, but if it was up, I would basically make a lot of YouTube content and such like that, and all of that is just simply you just me just basically shooting the shot, getting the feedback, and then actually just moving on from that. And what should I say for this episode is basically my moral for this story is, if you're not financially in a good place, ideally don't take your aim. Kind of just lay off the woman, because women are pretty expensive, and that was one of the things that I kind of realized over time, was the one of the reasons why she was not showing me any vibes or anything like that, because her lifestyle is basically out of my reach. You know, even to this day, I don't think I could afford her lifestyle, and I, I would really want her lifestyle, and I would really want her lifestyle or anything like that. So basically, she kind of removing me from her life, kind of gave me some self reflection to basically find out what kind of person and want in my life, and yeah, and it was really, it's all because I basically just shoot my shot, try a thing, and then get a feedback, and I say okay. So that was basically, well, no. So so the reason why I don't have a Valentine this year is basically because the other girl, you know, that I would um that I tried with did the same thing, but for a different reason. This one was basically, we were basically good friends. And over time I realized that we weren't really, in my head, my perspective, I realized that we weren't really friends. I was just basically messaging her, and she was just replying. I was like, we were, we went to university the same year and such as, so that's how we became close. But we were never, we had different priorities. She was, my thing was more in the science field, she was more in the computer science field, so our lifestyle would never, our paths never really crossed that well since we left university. So it was just an unfortunate case, and that was a good thing for me as well, you know, because now, this Valentine's Day, where many people are enjoying their Valentines and whatnot, I'm I'm focusing more on my goals, focusing more on my goals and getting to a better place every day. Because that second girl, when she basically blocked me off everything, where at now wasn't where I was when she kind of blocked me. I was in a pretty worse state. I was kind of down on myself, and she basically left me in my down state. And that don't she basically leaving me in my don't see kind of have to force myself to mentally bring myself out of that dark place, and thanks to that I'm in a better situation. And so thanks to those girls I can see yo my mental fortitude is kind of in a better place. And yeah, so none of them, none of them I highly doubt any of them will listen to this, but if they do, thank you, thank you for basically doing that. You get me into a higher place, higher place, more financially secure. And if this podcast just basically pop off, just blow up, I'm in a better place, like even better place. So yeah, man, yeah, just see the good in everything. And happy Valentine to you and your significant other, for those who are listening. And I hope you enjoy it. Hope have a really good, and that's one of the things I kind of did is enjoy each day like to the fullest, man. Just do what you can. If you're going to work, enjoy it to the fullest, bro. If you're enjoying a day with a girl, enjoy it to the fullest. Don't, not because it's a holiday you want to holiday for girls and we name they must do it for girl. If you're alone, yo dog, just enjoy it to the fullest. Carry yourself out on a good date, bruh. Cause basically this life is for you to maximize it, dog. You can't really, you don't have to wait on a girl or anything like that to maximize your life. I'm the living proof. I was growing up in a country where science was basically you're a nerd, and yo, I did some things that I never thought I would do. So basically, it's just you to just basically take the opportunity and seize your day. Come on. So thank you for listening to this. And then I look forward for the next episode. I highly doubt anybody will reach this far because I think I kind of sound boring in the first part of the the story. But if you reach this far, yeah, you should really have a good every day. You should have a good every day. Because, I have a good every day. Once I wake up in the morning, bro, I just look back at the next day, last day, and I say, yeah, that was the best day I could have that day. Yeah, man, it's all right. Look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Divine timing. And how basically two random events just basically coordinate perfectly to a third event that, looking back at it now, it was just perfectly timed to, it it was just perfectly timed. So if you have listened to the podcast around Christmas Day last year, you would have remember that I went to one of my previous guests, Tyler's Christmas event. And one of the persons that went to speak at this event was a dentist. She went there and there was a dentist there and she talked about oral health and such like that. So after this event was finished, she had a raffle where she basically let us take out something and we see how much percent we have